Alright guys, welcome to Envy's run through of Greater Howling Abyss. Uh, Honestly, it's pretty boring to watch, so basically I'm just going to try to explain the boss fights. Um, our guild had a lot of trouble when we first came in here because we could not find any video on how to do the fights because the Russians looked like it was cakewalk when they went in there. They were at 40, 45 doing this and it was hitting them for like 800. We come in here at 50, full tank gear, full everything, and we're getting hit, 5, 6,000. So we realized the fights were different, and there's no video explaining how to do this for us. First time ever watching it, then hope you enjoy. Pretty much, we're just going to be clearing ads so we get to the boss. This room right here has 3 guys up in the top that throw barrels down that explode on you. That's one of them right there. You can either kill them or lasso them down or run to a cannon and shoot the cannon up there. Now you do need to note, if you miss and explode the barrels and it doesn't kill them, the cannon will not, and you need to kill them. You're going to have to lasso them or get your range to do it. The only way they will die is if the cannon blows up the barrels. A lot of people skip trash in here. That's dumb, as you can see. Uh, the trash dropped the bracers and the belt. So if you're trying to get those, that's about the only place you can get them from is the trash. So the more of these you kill, the better chances you have. Most of it's just a tank and spank. You come in, kill these mobs. A lot of people have trouble when they first get in here. Basically just going to walk over here, jump on the vine, you're going to climb up. When you go up this, just press over and spacebar. Otherwise you will leap backwards off the vine. Alright, once you get up here, this door is locked, so you can either come into this room over here and kill the ads and open the chest and get the key, or you can just come over here and just stealth by and grab it. The chest either spawns right here or it spawns right here. The ads will not aggro if you're careful. Just open it, grab the key. I'm gonna stealth, hope I don't pull. Didn't work, so they're gonna heal me. I will note, most of the boss fights are pretty easy. I will say the things that are a must for this run is, if it's your guild doing it and it's your first run, to make it as easy as possible until you get better gear, 3 range is probably a must, because the fights are too intensive for melee. It's just, a lot of the fights are you kill it before your healer runs out of mana. So with the melee, there's so much AoE and movement going on that they just don't put out the damage a range can. So the best way to try to do it is to have 3 range. Now once you get better gear, you can start bringing in your melee and gearing them that way. Another must is your tank does need magic resist. Plate does not have it, and what it does have, it's very little. So you got a couple options. You can either have them get a leather set that has some magic resist and a couple pieces, or what we've noticed that we do is we just buy the magic resist pot. There's a 24 one on the auction house. It's usually about 3 to 4 gold. It is kind of expensive just to do a run, to have to do that every time, but it will pay off because it'll limit the number of wipes. When they get it though, they don't need to pop it immediately when they get in here. You're not going to need it till you hit the 3rd boss. So that's the only place you'll need it. Another thing is the healer's going to need mana pots. Our healer, when we first started, She was going through almost 200 mana pots a run. And that was in her bad gear. Oh, I fell off, fuck. Now she's mostly got yellows, and she says, some fights she might use 2 or 3, but I think a run she only uses 10 or 12 now. I still run through about 30 when I'm trying to full DPS. So it is beneficial. I use these right here. They're really cheap. I can get 50 for like 3 or 4 gold, just 21 extra agility. On these eggs right here, if you can stun lock them until they hatch, they will not hatch and you can kill them. If you can't, it doesn't matter how much damage you do to them, they're going to spawn the eggs. You can either kill them or you can group them all up, and if you throw the fire on them, usually takes about 3 torches and they all die. Thing about doing that is it kills them quick, but when you first come in here, there's also a chance that your tank's going to get nuked down, and then you're going to wipe. So best thing to do is just slow pull it and throw fire if you want to at them, because it does a good bit of damage. Another big thing about this dungeon is a lot of the bosses need to be tanked in certain spots, or they need to be, in a center of the room or just something like that. So if you're not able to hold aggro and your DPS is pulling it off you and you're doing everything you can, then the DPS needs to just stop. Most of the time I wait 10 to 15 seconds before I even attack the boss. Or if I do attack the boss, then it's just auto attacks to start building my bloodthirst. But a lot of times it seems counterproductive, you not attacking the boss till he hits 85-90%. But if you pull aggro and you move the boss, it's going to wipe your whole group. So if you do out damage most people in your group and you feel like you're going to pull off the tank, then just don't DPS. I forgot I just switched my spec. I don't have slam. Like I said, a lot of people we run with skip all the ads, but I mean, you're in here for gear, so why not kill everything and get the gear? Alright, this first boss fight coming up. It's very, very easy. It's basically a tank and spank for the tank. For the DPS, we kill the boss. He spawns 1 egg here, 1 egg there. Tank and spank, he spawns an egg here, egg there. We kill those, tank and spank, and then it's rinse and repeat. The only difference is after the 3rd time he spawns 2 eggs. 4 times spawns 2 eggs. 5th time spawns 2 eggs. And if you have low DPS and it gets a 6th time, then it spawns 3 eggs on each side. So the longer it takes, the harder it's going to get. If you get to the boss and you're not able to kill him, shit happens. You got to try again. But the eggs do have to die. If they spawn, it releases a 2-star, and it's a hell of a lot harder to hit or kill than just the egg. The only difference in the fight is the blue that spawns on the ground. If you're in it over 2 seconds, when it explodes, it's going to freeze you. Very simple. The boss does enrage, what he just did. All the bosses in here, when they enrage, they take reduced damage. So later on in the fight, you'll see that there's harpoons. You can grab a harpoon and shoot them. This boss, when he enrages, it's only for about 5 to 10 seconds, and there is no harpoon. The rest of the bosses, when they enrage, they stay enraged until you knock them out. As you can see, I'm just firing endless arrows. Once I feel, after these next set of eggs, I feel I'm not going to pull aggro, then I'm going to pop everything and do as much DPS as possible. You notice my eggs dropping, theirs are going down, we have no problem. Alright, this third set of eggs, so there's 2 on each side. I just switched up my spec, so I'm not quite sure on what everything does keybind wise. I literally did it right for this video. Best thing to do when you're in here, you know, you can eat and drink during fights. You will see throughout this video, I do it non-stop. You know, if there's not something I have to do, then I will eat or drink. Alright, when you kill this boss, he usually doesn't drop anything. The gear comes from this chest, so don't freak out when you don't see anything. We got lucky, we got the bow. Play him. Alright, ooh, I forgot I don't have meditate no more. Alright, these big guys, the only thing you have to worry about them is, they shoot out a poison, and it bounces from person to person, and it actually hits for a lot, like 2,000 to 3,000, and it will continuously bounce, I think, for like 10 to 15 seconds. I'm not sure exactly the mechanics on it, but it does a lot of damage, so once you pull him, it's best to spread out. But most of the time our gear is okay and our healer's good enough. We can just stay right here. But when we first started, we were pulling the boss into, or the ad into this room and kiting it around. Our tank faced it away from us. That way he didn't shoot the poison at us. These, most of the time, they don't really ever drop anything. So we just kill it as quick as we can and then go by it. They go down really quick. Our tank just AoEs them down. And then we're going to skip these. Alright, this room, there's a little, basically, you can either clear the whole thing. There's one pat that comes by, and there is eggs on the side. So when you walk in, you have to be careful if you're trying to skip them. The eggs aren't just if you attack them, they spawn. If you get too close, they spawn as well, which is bad during a fight. If you're trying to skip stuff and you pull too much and you start kiting, then you run into the problems. You make it worse for yourself. We did, one of our mages just got bubbled, so we actually have been CCing, but up until this point we didn't CC, so it's actually not a must to do this. But like I was telling you, if you get too close to the eggs, they spawn. It just happened to us. It's weird knowing I just switched my spec. A lot of my keybinds are different. I keep pressing stuff and it's not there. I don't know what made me just think about it, but I was talking about things that are must earlier. Um, a must for this dungeon is somebody with level 50 aura mastery that can get wings. It is a must for the second boss. You will not be able to kill the boss with at least one person having it. To make the boss super easy, you need two. If you have really low DPS, then three would be good, but one is a must, two makes it easier. And when we get in there, I can show you why. It's the next boss that's coming up. I dropped Oromancy from I came in here, and now I don't have Meditate. Alright, these snakes right here, there's usually a barrel that spawns. You can use to help blow them up, like he just dropped down there. Has a really big blast, so it can kill your tank or anybody if they're kind of close to it. But it will one-shot them. Alright, this little bit coming up, this fight, Medusa. It's a little bit different than most fights. Takes a little minute to get used to it. If you haven't done it, then it's kind of complicated because you can't kill the mobs and you don't understand why. What you do is you kill Medusa first, and then you loot her body, and you have everybody insta roll on looting her. And then you pick the item up off of her body, and it knocks the shield off of these three ads. Because they have a shield on them that protects them and heals them non-stop, and you can't kill them until you knock the shield off. So you nuke Medusa, loot her, roll on it, pick the item up, and then walk by and hit the ads, and they die. Alright, see, I got it, so now I'm going to come over here and hit them. And now they can die. Alright, took us a minute to figure this out, but you're going to walk over here and pick up these trade packs. Walk them over here, and there's three little stones on the ground. Just walk up to them, press F, and then the pressure points open this door. You open this door, there's spikes on the ground, and there's one ad in here. Just pull the ad. And you're always going to aggro this ad, even if you try to just run in here and click this, because you have to click this to open the next door. It's too close to not aggro it. I've tried stealthing everything. Not really possible. Next, climb up this vine. I'm going to go in here, and you got to keep in mind, this is a random spawn. It's not always there. So you just have to pay attention. And the reason you want to pay attention is because if this is here, then this guy, there's only one of. If that ad's not there, then there's two of these guys. One's right in here that pats the door and goes back, and the other one's here and pats the door and comes back to here. So you can tell by if you see that chick if there's going to be two of these or not. Now we usually skip these. I don't know why, but if you just walk in and jump over that, you will not aggro them. A lot of people say just kill that mob and jump down. If you do, it makes the next fight, the boss fight, extremely hard, because these guys right here throw barrels on you while you're in the fight. So just come over to the cannons, press R. Remember, shoot the barrels or it will not blow up the guy. Once you kill that, you can just run all the way down or just jump off, either one. He's going to de-summon these mobs. Alright, as far as this fight goes, the key to this fight, to being able to do it, is having the Oromancer at level 50. We're going to put a star over Steez's head because it makes it easy to find, and a actually he doesn't have Oromancer no more, so we're not going to worry about it. Let me ask you a question. Alright, there we go. Alright, an X over his head. Alright, so pretty much this fight, he's going to tank and spank it. The difference is your tank has to hold aggro while not being around him. I'm not going to DPS at the start because I pull aggro very easy on this fight. The trick to this is non-stop moving. Never stop, because he starts doing the whirlwind. Your tank needs to get away from him, and he randomly jumps to people, usually 3 or 4 different people. You have to stay spread out. If you're not spread out, then when he jumps to you, he's going to cleave 3 or 4 people at one time. So everybody stays spread out. He also spawns these ads. They have too much health to try to kill during a DPS race. So everybody just runs. That's one reason you stay running. Another thing, if you do get close to these, they will freeze you in place. So then when the boss jumps to you in whirlwinds, he just does mass amounts of damage. So you just want to stay kiting. Now the next phase in this, the boss is going to start spinning like he is right now, and he's going to catch on fire. When he catches on fire, he's going to raise into the air, and he does a big AoE fire blast. When he does that, you stack on the first person with level 50 Oromancy, and they pop wings. When they pop wings, you absorb all the damage. Here it is right here. We get in here, you want to stay as far away from the ads as you can, otherwise it'll freeze you. Now I got aggro, fuck. Our tank's going to try to get it back. There he goes. Should be good. Now, it's just a rinse and repeat of what you just did throughout the rest of the fight. But it is a DPS race. You can kill him before he does another fire. If you can't, that's when it's best to have a second person with Oromancy. And like I said, the main key to this fight is non-stop moving. And after he jumps, you know, he's not going to jump again for another 10 to 12 seconds. That's when you're going to eat your food. It's a really hard fight for the healer because the ads stay on the healer the whole time. They're never going to get off of them. So if she stops to heal you, I'm lagging really bad. Alright, then the ads despawn. That was a little sloppy, but I'm not in vent with my guild talking through the fight. Oh, it's always cloth and plate, cloth and plate. To open the next door, you run in here. Click this little lever. And it opens this door to go to the next fight. Alright, if you see there's a little lever back there, we got to click it. And when you click it, it opens this door. So I believe the first pull we pull is this add, and then the big guy, and then you can stealth around the back and click it if you want, or you can just clear the room. It's up to you. It doesn't really matter either way, because those small adds don't really drop any gear. Only the 2 stars do. He just stealthed back there and opened it, or not really stealth, but just walked along the side. Alright, this room, it's very easy, but the best way to do is just clear it. But this pat runs that way. This one comes to here and about stops, so if you want to, you can run to that corner and then cut through the middle of the room and not pull anything. We like to clear it because, like we said, we like gear. But you can run here and then run straight through the middle, and you don't have to aggro anything if you don't want. We usually kill that group and don't kill that one, but I think we're going to skip it. Alright, this is just a long hallway with a bunch of snakes in it. Don't do what that person did. Uh, Grab a barrel, and you drop them down the hill, and as they roll, they kill the snakes. If you teleport or anything like that, it drops the barrel, so don't do that. Just run up to them and drop it. And usually the barrels are one shot everything. If I wouldn't have aggroed that one and pulled him out of the blast radius, it would have killed him. Alright, now these 3 guys right here is the hardest pull in here. Not hard as in it's harder to pull them to you, but hard as in you're fighting 3 2-stars at once. So this is usually the hardest pull in here. It's not like very difficult, but as far as throughout the whole instance, it's the hardest fight as far as ads go. There's one ad over here in the corner, and there's one ad over here in the corner. So you're going to pull them first, and after you clear those 2, then you're going to pull the middle guy, and these 2 will come. Now if you attack the middle guy, like with an archer or something, it usually pulls this whole group. So the best thing to do is have the tank lasso. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It's kind of weird as far as the pull goes. I don't know if it's bugged or what. looks like when he pulled this ad over here, he got that one. So now this pull is not going to be that bad. You can CC one of the ads, but we found sometimes when the ad drops down after the CC, it pulls all of them. So it's just a tricky pull. There's no right or wrong way. A lot of times I back way up during this fight because I like to tab target, and as you can see, I tabbed like 7 times before it finally got back to him. So if I'm back far enough and I tab, it won't attack any of these. Alright, now as far as this fight goes, this is going to be the fight where you want to pop your MR pot. There's 2 ways to do it. You can have your tank stand right here on this fire. Now if you do this, your tank needs a good bit of MR. If your tank does not have very good MR, then he stands right here. And when the tank stands right here, it gives him a little buff during the fight that increases his MR, from what my tank tells me. Now your healer's going to need to stand right here, and they're going to need all this room on the wall to run on. Now if you have any archers, they can stand on the back wall because they shoot further. But if you have a caster, they got to stand right here on this little line in this square, and they cannot move during the fight because your healer needs to be able to move freely up and down. Now when your healer is over here, the best thing to do is look at the wall and not watch the fight, because fireballs are going to be coming, and as they come, you need to be able to move back and forth to dodge them, because if your healer gets hit by it, it silences them. And if your healer gets silenced during this fight, your tank's going to die in about 3 seconds. So as you can see, if you look this way and at the fight, you can't see the fire coming and dodge it. So the best thing to do is have your healer look like this. Healer can still click on people to heal them, so it's not a big deal. If you do have range that's not archers and they are on this, they cannot move. Now if your tank tanks it here, then you can have your healer down here and you can have the other person right here. Melee, they can attack the boss right here and be okay, but when the room starts to flood, they have to run over here, and when they get here, it lifts them into the air. When they get lifted into the air, it keeps them from avoiding the AoE damage. The whole room will flood. You will watch our tank will get rised up in the air. Now this is a tricky part for the tanks. When the tank goes up into the air, either he's going to be able to attack that boss, or he's not going to be able to attack the boss, because sometimes he gets stunned when he goes up. If he cannot attack the boss, all DPS has to stop DPSing, because when he goes up, it resets aggro. So when he come back down, if you attacked and your tank was stunned and you didn't have enough aggro, most of the time you pull off the tank. If the boss moves from right here, generally it's a wipe. So just stop DPSing until the tank tells you I got aggro again, and then you can light him back up. As I said, I'm going to stand right here. All range does not need to move. You can to avoid the fire, but it's very hard to when you're playing like this. Best thing to do is just stand still and do as much damage as you can. And if you get silenced, you just eat it. The way our tank does it, first time he goes up, when he comes down, he pops his wings, because the boss drops a fireball right here, and it ticks for about 10,000 a tick. So when he goes up and he comes down, he drops the wings. The second time he goes up, he side jumps over the fire and stands out here and eats the AoE damage instead of the fire damage, because it's less damage. And then there's usually not a third one because he's dead by then. But if we have a oh shit moment, then our other guy that has wings will usually run over and pop wings on him. That's pretty much the fight though. Alright. Something to keep in mind though, this is a very healer intensive fight for the healer and tank. So the healer should not heal any of the DPS. They should strictly be on the tank only. And I'm going to try to keep my screen turned so y'all can see our healer dodging the stuff she's got to. I'm silenced already. Usually I don't do full DPS. There's the fire, and there he goes in the air. He can still attack, so we're okay to keep DPSing. Alright, and now's when I'm going to pop my cooldowns and go. I call it going ham. And our tank got stunned. That's usually when he dies, is when the tank gets stunned. So sometimes it happens, sometimes it don't. Those are the fireballs that I'm talking about that silence. Here's the water's going to go up, and again, he can still attack, so we're okay to keep DPSing. There's wings. See the AoE fire that was down there and the fireball? That's what he uses his wings for. Sometimes you get lucky and he doesn't pop it the first or second time. Like the first time, he popped it right as we went up in the air, so he avoided it. So it actually landed on the ground that time when we were down there, so that's why he popped the wings. He can attack, so we're good to keep DPS, and I'm silenced. A lot of people say this is the hardest fight in here. I disagree. I think this is a mechanic fight. So as long as you know the base mechanics, it's a very easy fight. Alright, good job. That's actually the first time we've seen that drop. That key that drops off the boss is what opens the next door. Alright, so the rest of the fights are very easy. They just take a little while. But if you can down this boss, you can do this instance completely. So if y'all get to this point and y'all down that boss, good job, because you're going to be able to finish the dungeon. Alright, next room, just the big ad and the eggs, and then the one pat that comes through the door. When he turns green like that, that's when they throw the slime at people that does so much damage. Alright, that's the next boss. This boss right here is the boss that drops your gloves. And it's not 100% chance that he drops gloves every time. I believe it's like a 70 to 80% chance. So sometimes he doesn't drop anything. And I don't think he's considered an actual boss. But he's takes a while to kill, and he's the only person here that drops your gloves. We got lucky last night, and he dropped yellow gloves and the purple bracers. So sometimes you can get really lucky, and then sometimes it's just coin purses. I think we're going to get all the eggs. Yep. Most time it's just best to clear the whole room. Our mage popped his AoE, hit all the eggs, and he died for it. He actually was our only melee in the guild, and we figured out that it's way easier to run this with range, so we just started gearing him for a mage, and he just switched. So he doesn't have the best gear. But most of these fights are DPS intensive, so unless you're have one or two people that have just extremely geared and good DPS, then most people that do the run need the Hasla weapon, because the amount of DPS increase it does over all the other bows is significant. Yeah, actually, I think we've had 4 perfect runs before this one without a death, so he just ruined our streak. Alright, probably the easiest fight in here. It took us a minute to figure out the range on these um, catapult things. We were pulling the boss to right here and tanking him there and trying to do it, and it wasn't working. We switched it up to where we leave the boss there and we just turn him sideways. Uh, he does some kind of crazy damage to us when he's looking at us. So the tank just turns him sideways and the damage hits the wall over here. And then other than that, it's a tank and spank. The boss will enrage. When he enrages, he takes less damage and triples the amount of damage he puts out. To knock the enrage out, you're going to grab one of these ballistic catapult, whatever you want to call them, and about right here, and you're going to shoot it at his feet. Once it hit his feet, it's going to stun him and he takes more damage. I think it's like 70% more damage. So it actually is extremely helpful to knock him out. Now to do this fight, you do not have to take him out of the enrage, which is right here. I'm going to pick up the catapult and walk back just a little bit. And then it's T, not R. R will drop it. You shoot it. If you miss and you're too close, it'll happen what just happened to him. And if you hit it, it'll do that right there. It'll stun him and he takes more damage. Best thing to do is, I don't know why I can't attack. What the hell? Oh, I didn't have him targeted. I was a noob. Best thing to do though is right after he enrages, come back over here and pick up another catapult. Otherwise, that's more time your tank's going to take damage because you are picking up the catapult when he does enrage. As soon as you see him start casting, just start running backwards to get ready to launch it. Our tank sometimes when he rages takes like 8k hits. There it is right there, the rage. Come back to the third line. Oh, I dropped it. I just fucked up. Shoot it about right here. And you're good to go. Drop it. Pick up another one. That way you're ready for the next one. As you'll be able to see on these next 2 fights, I really do more of the like the mechanics of the fight, and I really don't put out as much DPS as everybody else does on these last 2 fights. See, he's too close. And mine won't even launch. Something else to note, if you're trying to shoot the catapult, if somebody's standing in front of you, it'll say out of line of sight. So that's something to keep in mind. Yeah, and we all missed. Sometimes it just doesn't hit, even though it should. When we were first trying to do it, because it's a very long fight, um, the way we did it was whoever runs out of mana the fastest could do the catapult. Because if they're doing the catapult, that gives them time to regen mana. And then after that, we just do it. Whoever runs out of mana usually grabs it. For the sake of the video, I did it so I could show you all though. If you will notice, when he enrages, he does take less damage. Oh, he got the leather gloves. Alright, that guy's not usually there. Run down, drop the barrel. Usually best try to get 2 barrels. Sometimes one won't kill him. Alright, that was weird because that guy's usually not there. Alright, in here, have everybody stand up here. Have one of you drop down into this room. You can either kill the ads, it's the Medusa fight again, so you need to kill her first. And then hit them with the item you loot. Or you can just run up and click this. Wait right here. The room will fill up with water. You're going to swim up after it quits glitching out. Swim up. You're going to grab this. And when you do this, it's going to finish filling the room up and let you be able to go to the next one. You can either jump or grab this ladder, whichever one. Alright, and here's the last boss fight. Alright, the way I do this is, first off, this boss does, I forget what it's called, but he puts a green line on everybody. And it has a timer on it. And when the timer runs out, if you haven't popped this shield over here in this corner, if you haven't picked up this shield and then pressed R and popped it, then he stuns all of you. Now if you grab the shield and pop it on the people who have the green line on them, then it'll stun the boss. When the boss is stunned, he takes 99% reduced damage. So during the time that he's stunned, that's when you want to eat food or eat mana. Now we have found out, we were trying some people over here, some over here, and grab the shield and pop it. The problem is, later on in the fight, they come quicker, and the shield doesn't respawn fast enough. So what we decided to do was, the tanks him in the middle about right here, and all the DPS and healers stand over here, and have one person that grabs the shield, which is me. I'll grab the shield, I'll run up a little bit, they'll stack on me, I'll pop it, and then we'll run to this side over here. And the shield over here is leaned up against the wall, and we'll do the same thing. The only thing the boss does special is at random he picks somebody in charges. The tank can control who that is. If he picks somebody, he can taunt him and it'll switch to the tank, charge the tank. And then after he gets stunned, about halfway through the fight, when you pop the shield and it stuns him, he starts doing a grab. So if you stun him and you're meditating, keep that in mind because he's going to grab you out of your meditate. So that's one thing you have to keep in mind. Other than that, just the mechanic of grabbing the shield and shielding everybody. If somebody's not around you and has the line on them and you pop the shield, then they will be stunned while the boss is stunned. So it's not a big deal. The only time it's a big deal is if you don't get the stun off and you all get stunned and the boss isn't, and that's when he starts one-shotting people. So we're going to start off over here. He does the little green thing really quickly. He also shoots that. There it is right here, the thing he's shooting out right now. I'm going to grab the shield, walk up, pop it. Alright, none of us are good. Boss is stunned. Takes reduced damage, as I said. There's the charge. He shoots those 3 little rockets out, don't do too much damage, and then he also does these balls that he shoots out that when they come out you just run away from, and they're no big deal. They don't do any damage initially, but if you do get hit by it, it puts a spark on you like lightning, and it actually does quite a bit of damage. So the best thing is to not get hit by that. Our tank got stunned there. I also believe your healer can cleanse the lightning off of them. Truthfully, I think this is the hardest boss fight because if you mess up once, it can wipe the whole group. Like if you don't get that shield off and it stuns everybody except for the boss and he comes around and one-shots. Another thing, we don't really have this problem because we're on melee, but if you do have melee, they cannot stand behind the boss. He will tail swipe and it will one-shot you. And that's the reason we tank him where we tank him, because if he's over here, then he'll run around and tail swipe at random and it'll one-shot us. This boss does enrage. When he does, it's same as all the rest of them. He takes less damage and he puts out a lot more. We have him right here. He just picks up the harpoon or catapult. Oh shit. Catapult, and he just shoots him and gets rid of it. The catapult's right here. It's just like the other ones where he needs to be a good distance away from him, otherwise it won't work. He's enraged again. You'll see him, he's about to shoot it at him. He's backing up to get the range right. I'm gonna grab the shield. Now we were trying to have one person do everything, shield and catapult, but the problem is if you pick up the catapult and it's on your back and then you go to pick up the shield, it drops it. So it makes it really hard, like if it's happening at the same time, or if you're in the middle of a cast and you only have so long. So we just found it's better to have 2 people do it. He's enraged. Something to note, when he gets low and he starts doing that green line thing, always grab the shield and stun him, because when he does that little shield thing, he cannot die. Or he does the little green lines, he cannot die when he does that. We wiped a couple times thinking that we could burst him down before it went off, but when he hits low damage like that, he just doesn't take damage. There's the tail swipe. I just got hit by it. As you can see, it knocked me to a quarter. I usually backwards jump. Alright, tank's down. So we're going to stun him. And I'm going to pot up. And I'm going to kite the boss. Oh, that wasn't good. Sloppy, but we did it. As I said, this is the fight where I feel like things can go wrong very quickly. I feel like it's the hardest fight. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed it. Our guild name's Envy. We're on server Enla. And as we said, we made this video because we couldn't find any when we were trying to do it. And now that we got it down, we thought we'd share it. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Have a good one.